want to talk a bit about your recent, well, not that recent anymore, transition from one sport to sports entertainment, if you like. Before we go into that in depth, just remind people who don't know what led to the ending of your boxing career. I know it's not nice to talk about.
Yeah, so my boxing career was my pro career was inundated with injuries, and it ended in 2016 when my career ended last year, but my last fight was 2016 when I suffered the worst injury of the lot. I fractured my eye socket, and it was a bad injury. What made it real worse was it was misdiagnosed by the best hospital in the world for eyes. I was told to carry on fighting, and that was the last thing I should have done. I carried on boxing. I fought Craig Cunningham in October 2016. After I'd been told that nothing could happen to my eye, like it was what it was. I had to kind of make do with it. In that fight, I went into that fight with one fracture in my eye socket. I came out. I had 8 fractures. My eye was made much worse. But not just that. I mean, the eye, without boring people too much, the eye socket protects the eyeball and the soft tissue around it. When the eye socket is damaged and shattered, like mine was, and it's not doing the job, my eye and the muscles and the soft tissue around it was getting damaged, and unfortunately suffered irreparable damage. And then, I mean, you could not make my story up. Like, I mean, I won't go into an iota of it, but just to breeze through, I then had the operation on my eye that I should have had when I initially suffered the injury, opposed to afterwards. In short, they didn't realise the extent of my eye fracture damage. They didn't even bother scanning me again after the fight. They operated on me as it was at the beginning rather than afterwards, and then, which was the wrong thing to do. And unfortunately, the unfortunate thing, it was misdiagnosed. They said to me I had a fracture in my eye socket from 2013. Now, I may or may not have had a fracture in my eye socket because, as you know, Danny, as a boxer, every year you get a brain scan to check your brain. Cool. And they'd seen a scan from 2013, so 3 years before I suffered the actual injury, they saw a scan saying I had a small fracture in the orbit. And the 2016 fracture, which they saw, was the same fracture. And I said, well, I mean, I don't know. That may or may not be the case. I'm not too sure. But I've had another punch. I know the punch. I know the day on my eye. My eye kind of, it felt like it exploded in sparring in June 2016. That's what's done it. So maybe I had a small fracture there before, but now it's made it much worse. And they said no. And the unfortunate thing was Cal Brook had two of what I had, and both of his fractures were actually worse than my fracture, the initial fracture. And he's back boxing. And I went to go and see Cal Brook's doctor after they messed my eye up, and he said to me he could not believe what they did to my eye. But by that point, it was too far done. And I spent the next 2.5 years, 3 years in total, not believing that my career was over. And I had 9 operations altogether on my eye. 2 injections to try to make it work to get back, and after 3 years, I spent 100 grand, every penny I ever earned from boxing. I spent on operations, 4 very expensive operations in America. It wasn't to be. I had to retire. So it was a nightmare. You know, the worst 3 years of my life, without a shadow of a doubt. Devastated, still devastated, because like, had I won the Olympic gold medal, or have I won a world title as a pro, which I knew I was more than good enough to win both or either of, then I could have left boxing with a smile on my face. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case, because my Olympics, I'm sure you remember, my mum was in hospital after suffering a brain aneurysm during the Olympics, so she was in a coma, having surgeries on her brain daily to keep her alive whilst I was away fighting. I missed 4 weeks of training. It was just rubbish, you know. It was a real tough time for me. And then I thought I can crack on now, leave all that in the past. My mum survived, making a massive recovery. I can turn pro now and just focus on getting a world title. And then I did shoulder dislocated in one of my fights. Then I was out for a year with my Achilles, and then the eye. And it's just like, it was just rubbish. I left boxing very bitter, and it's a shame because it was an amazing sport. It gave me an amazing life. It just ended in a rubbish way. However, the way that ended has now led me on to my next venture, which I'm now embarking on, which hopefully will be much kinder to me.
Before we go into that, just give us a bit of an update on how the eye is now and how your mum's getting on as well.
Yeah, now cheers, Danny. Thanks, mate. Do you know what? I always a little sneaky trick for you and anybody watching this. When I tell my story, and I do a bit like motivational speaking as well, because I've got a great story from the boxing career and stuff. And when I tell my story, if people don't ask me, "Oh, how did your mum do?" or "How's she doing?" it annoys me. So the fact you've asked me, you're one of my top 5 journalists that I like. So cheers, I appreciate that. No, mate, she's doing really well. I mean, she's doing really well. She should have died that day in 2012. Shadow of a doubt. Like I've been with her to appointments, and doctors have said it's actually a miracle that you're still alive. Like, do you know that? And my poor mum, like from her perspective, she was outside in the garden putting the washing on the line. Next thing she knows, she's waking up 3 months later from a coma. So she doesn't remember any of it. And obviously, a brain injury damages part of your memory, so don't remember things properly. But from her perspective, she's like, well, I was fine one day, and now I'm kind of fine. I get a bit forgetful here and there, but it's not until we go to appointments with doctors, and they say, like, Teresa, you are a miracle. Does she go, wow, that actually really hit home, like how lucky, how fortunate she is. And people suffer. She had a bleed in the back of her brain, a really bad one, and she survived it, and she's doing miraculously well. She can pretty much do everything she could before, pretty much, give or take. People suffer much smaller bleeds on the brain and die, instantly, or they survive, but they're in a real bad living state afterwards. So she's really lucky. And my eye, I mean, it's not. I've kind of got used to it now. I mean, it's not great. If somebody else would be in my situation, they'd hate life, like, desperately. But my eyes were so bad before, like, so bad. I mean, like, not just aesthetically, my eyes. If I relax my eyes, they point in different directions. So I had a thing the other day, a little photo shoot thing, and they said to me, just relax, and I relaxed, and my eyes went. And you like it's like what you're doing, like, and my eyes just don't work. I've got to really focus, like, to make my eyes work properly together. It's weird. My left eye, I'm pretty much half blind on my left eye. Doesn't move properly because I had a procedure in it which went wrong and damaged a nerve in my left eye. So my left eye doesn't work very well. But luckily, fingers on my right eye is good. If that ever got over, I'd be struggling. Now it's okay. Like, wrestling is hard anyway. It made much harder, like, visually not being perfect, but no, I can get by, and that's that's the main thing. And people have said to me, "But aren't you scared of, like, happening again or something else going wrong?" I'm like, I'm not really, because that's like saying, "Aren't you scared of popping to the shops because you might get hit by a bus?" I'm not gonna not live my life the way I don't want to live it because something which may or may not happen, like. My first career got taken away from me because of the eye thing. I'm not letting it take away anything else from me, and I'm going to make the best of the rest of my life. So that's why I'm now getting into wrestling, which is something I've loved since I was a kid, and hopefully I'll be pretty good at.
Yeah, see, I wanted to talk to you about that because I know during your boxing career you were a huge wrestling fan anyway. Obviously, I am too. We used to talk about it and stuff. What first got you into wrestling? Who were your kind of heroes growing up?
So I could tell you exactly how I get into it. I mean, I remember every Sunday, me and my family went to my nan and granddad's house for Sunday lunch, for lunchtime, and then I'd always there was me, and I had 4 sisters. Me, my mum, and 4 sisters. There were 6 of us. We had a 5-seater car, so we couldn't get everyone in the car. We had an old Skoda, HUH Skoda. It was rubbish. So I'd run home. It was only like 2 or 3 miles. It was only little. I was like 9 or 10. 8, 9, 10, but I'd run home and I'd leave it and they'd say 3:30 and I'd try to wake my mum back, and one day there was like some traffic works done, and I got back before them, so I got the key, let myself in, and I put the telly on. And back in the day where, well, probably still is now, like we had like 4 channels or 5 channels. The TV goes on the channel you last watched.
Yeah.
So put the telly on, and there's this thing, and it was January whatever in the year 2000, and I was 10. And I'm watching this. I have no clue what I'm watching, but it was Sunday Night Heat. So for a little bit, I don't remember, but Channel 4 had the rights to So I'm watching and going, what is this? So it's not boxing, but it's not football. It's not, what is it? And there's all blood and muscle men like slamming each other on the floor and stuff. And at the end of it, they've said, the commentator said, stay tuned tonight, the Royal Rumble. And I've gone to my the TV guide, and I've went and looked at it. Channel 4 o'clock, Channel 4, Sunday Night Heat, WWF. And that night, at midnight, was the Royal Rumble. So I went to bed, when I was 9. So I went to bed late as I possibly could, got an old blank VHS, stuck it in, covered it up so you could record over it, press a long play, put on Channel 4 and recorded it. I woke up. Remember that?
People won't remember long play, will they? Brilliant.
So short play was 3 hours, and that's quite good quality. When they're shit, like rubbish nowadays. But long play was 6 hours, but the quality was rubbish or sketchy. So I put it on long play, stuck it in, come running downstairs, and I'm watching it. Oh, this is amazing. And then I had to go to school. Came back after school, I watched it more. The first match I ever watched was Taz versus Kurt Angle. I still don't really know what this is. I don't actually know what wrestling is. Watching it, and then Taz choked out Kurt Angle, and I thought this man is like.
Oh, they both made their debut on the same night, wasn't it?
Well, no, Taz made his debut for Kurt Angle. He's on a small winning streak. He'd been there for a while. He was cutting his promo on the mic, gold medalist. I've always wanted to be an Olympic gold medalist, so I loved him from the beginning, which was my dream to become an Olympian. And the geezer comes out, towel over his head, hard as nails, comes out and chokes him out. I thought he'd killed him. Actually thought he'd killed him. And then they had him in the ring with oxygen on. I thought, he's dead. He's actually dead. I watched that on before school. I've gone to school thinking I've just watched the murder. I've came home that evening, I watched the rest of the show, watching the Royal Rumble. The bloody tape cut out like 3/4 in. So I didn't get to see who won the Royal Rumble. So I had to go a whole week before I watched Sunday Night Heat again to see who won, and The Rock won. So from then on, I watched Sunday Night Heat like the rest of the year religiously, loved it. We didn't have Sky, so I couldn't watch Raw or SmackDown or anything. And that was it. And then Channel 4 lost the rights to WWE. And then I remember when I was about 14, I started, about 3 years later, I started working in a Chinese restaurant, washing up dirty dishes for 15 quid a night. And with my 15 quid a night, I paid for Sky just to watch wrestling. And then obviously boxing as well, Friday night, fight night and stuff. Well, so I paid for Sky Sports with my Chinese money. And literally didn't miss the Raw, SmackDown in 15, 20 years. Watched every single episode because I've been a massive fan. So that's how I get into it. My favourite wrestler is The Rock and The Undertaker. So it's something I'm sure I said to you in the past. It's something I always thought I'd do anyway. Like I always genuinely thought I would do something. I didn't think I'd be a full-time active wrestler. I thought I'd do something like Mayweather's done in the past, or Mike Tyson's done in the past, like a little cameo role. But
Tyson Fury recently.
Fury recently. That's what I thought I'd done. World champion boxer coming in, doing a Fury, 100%. But as I said, my career got cut short, and I'm now very fortunate to be offered an opportunity to live out a second childhood dream, because I did my first one, becoming a boxer, representing Great Britain at the Olympic Games, winning the medal at the Olympic Games. And next one now become a professional wrestler and be like The Rock. I mean, what kid growing up watching the Attitude Era did not want to be The Rock or Stone Cold? I've now got opportunities. So fingers crossed it'll come to fruition.
When did you begin your training, and where did you train?
So I've been friends with DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, for a number of years. I do his program, his DDP Yoga. 3 days a week, every week. I always have done. We became buddies through that. Real close. He's a bit like a mentor to me, really. And he helped me kind of get back into boxing in terms of I had 4 surgeries in America. Every surgery, I'd fly to his house first, stay with him for the week, train with him, had the surgery, go back to his house in Atlanta, stay for a few days, and he was like a base in America because I was having surgeries and appointments all over the country. And then he obviously got to know me and my story. He said to me from very early on, he said to me, ever thought about doing being a wrestler? Obviously very passionate about it. I was like, mate, I said, I appreciate this. So I think you could probably do it. So I appreciate the compliment, and there was a massive compliment. DDP saying you could be a wrestler. I said, listen, my dream is I want to box, mate. And he understood that. He's had dreams and goals to focus on in the past, and still does now. So he never mentioned it again. And then when I retired, I tried March 11th, I think. And then I gave everyone who'd helped me personally, all my coaches, all my friends, I emailed them a day or two before saying I'm retiring on Monday. I just want to say massive thank you before you see it, publicly. And he rang me up straight away. He said the first day you come to my house, I asked you, do you want to become a wrestler? And you said to me, after my boxing career, it's finished now. Now do you want to do it? And I was like, mate, I haven't even retired yet. let me just retire. I want to sulk. I said, I want to mourn for my career. He went to me, where's that going to get you? I went, yeah, I know what you're saying and it's the right thing, but I want to sulk. It meant a lot to me. He went to me, but when you finish sulking, give me a shout. So I sulked, and I sulked, and I sulked. And then we had a chat a few weeks later, and I said, right, let's do it. He went, cool. And the original plan was, he was going to speak to Triple H for me, and I was going to try to get into NXT, WWE NXT UK. And then this is March last year, so AEW was just a thing. Him and Cody Rhodes were really close. He went to me, I was coming over to WrestleMania last year, that's right. I went to WrestleMania with my friends. He went to me, I'll introduce you to Triple H, and then I'm trying to sort out a tryout or something. I was like, yeah, cool. So me and my friends went to WrestleMania. We went, enjoyed the show. I didn't see Triple H in the end. I was too busy having a good time with my friends in New York. And then I flew down to Atlanta to see Dallas after WrestleMania. He introduced me to Cody, and Cody sold me on the idea of AEW rather than WWE. And here I am now, an AEW wrestler. So it's cool.
And you're their first developmental signing, which is a pretty big honour, I guess, as well. What does that actually entail? So where are you basing yourself? How are you training and competing?
Yeah, so it's been really frustrating. So the unfortunate, not quite as bad, but the unfortunateness for my boxing career has kind of carried over to a wrestling career thus far, because the visa should have taken 8 to 12 weeks. It took 7 months. For nobody's fault. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't their fault. Just Trump's in charge now, and as we were going through our visa process, he changed a load of rules. So we had to start again, and so on and so forth. And then when we got through the first initial hurdles, they realised they couldn't get me as a wrestler because I've never wrestled before. So when I got my visa for Golden Boy, I was an Olympic medalist. I got it just like that because I was one of the best in the world at boxing.
Sure.
This is a wrestling company. I've never wrestled before, so they wouldn't give me a visa as a wrestler. So we then had to. So they're bringing me in as a commentator. So I'll be doing some work behind the desk because I've commentated for boxing lots, and so you had to basically create a new job role, AEW, to fit me, and then when I'm over there, I can make the transition. Loads of red tape, basically. It took 7 months. I got over there in February. I was going to start there, embark on a whole new life there, and this coronavirus has happened, and they said we're going to get shut down. My wife is still here for the time being. They said we're going to get shut down. You're going to get stuck. You can get stuck in the UK or the US. The word driver get stuck. They said if you get stuck in the US, then we can't even train because all the gyms are shut. We can't do wrestling school, so you may as well go home. So I've come back. So I signed with him 8 months ago. The visa took 7 months and 1 month of training, and now I'm back here until the foreseeable future. So it's been frustrating. Although saying that, I've been training. There's a really good school, the London School of Lucha Libre in Bethnal Green, right opposite from York Hall. I've been training there for when my visa was taking a while longer. I thought I want to go there and learn a bit of the basics because they wanted to train me up from day one to my first match. because it was taking so long, I didn't want to lose time, so I went there, and the guys, Greg Burridge and Gary Vanderhorn at the London School of Lucha Libre, really good coaches, and they've been teaching me like the basics. So when I go over there, when I get back over there, I'll have an idea of how it all works. Because Danny, it's funny, mate. It's so like I've been a fan for 20 years, as I've said, and I thought I knew a lot about wrestling.
Yeah.
Walked in day one. It's like being day one of school. I've walked in and gone, I know nothing. I know nothing. Like nothing. And the thing about wrestling, if you do something wrong, it could be the smallest thing wrong, like you and or your opponent can get really hurt. Not like really hurt. Like small things like, and I've seen this happen recently. When I first went there, when you run the ropes, you got to grab over the rope with the right hand. If you watch wrestling, whenever somebody runs the rope, to rock to the people's elbow, everyone grabs with their right hand. That's because, and they always say, at some point in your life, a rope will snap on you, and if not grabbed onto it, you fall over, landing your head on the floor, 15 long, 6 foot plus 12 feet up, you'll break your neck and probably die. So, oh, bloody hell. I was training recently. The exact thing happened. It didn't snap, but the rope kind of came off the hinge kind of thing. And a bloke, luckily there's a ring behind, and he fell into the ropes from the ring behind. But that was scary. So, point I'm making is, things can go wrong. There's a lot of moving parts in wrestling, and a lot of things can go wrong. And it ain't just your life and well-being. It's your working, it's your partners, it's your opponents' health and well-being as well. So it's everything's done for safety, because if you hurt yourself, you hurt yourself badly.
What's the kind of big ambition for the wrestling side? You obviously had huge ambitions for the boxing career based on what you'd achieved as an amateur. As a wrestler, lifelong fan aside, you started late in the same way DDP did, of course. He eventually did become a world champion. Where do you see the wrestling career going? What's the apex of what you believe you can achieve?
Yeah, the AEW world title, 100%. If it wasn't that, I wouldn't be here. And another thing as well about wrestling, because I'm so new into it, I really get, like, when I do interviews or even talk to other wrestlers, I'm really conscious, because I don't want to say or do the wrong thing or make any faux pas, because I don't know how people act. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you can say, what you can't say. And like normally, you said you get into the business and you start at an indie, or you start at a small level, grassroots kind of thing, and then you work on the indies and you make all your mistakes, like in-ring mistakes, but also saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, like ignorantly without knowing, and then you learn. Like I've gone into the top, like one of the biggest companies in the world with top stars, and I've tried to make my mistakes in ring and out the ring mistakes on a massive level under a microscope. So it's tough. But yeah, I want to become the best, because if I did, I got that passion that I had for boxing, that drive, that determination that got taken away from me. I'm now just kind of just repackaged that, and I'm now putting all that into this career. So the same thing happens. I wanna be the best, become the world champion. And the great thing about wrestling, well, what makes a good wrestler, it's loads of things. Like obviously you've got to be really good in ring, you've got to be smooth in ring, and you've got to be good and look good or whatever. But to be a good wrestler, it's more than that. You've got to be entertaining, you've got to be good on the mic, you've got to be like personable. Whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, you've got to make people care about you and make the fans like give a damn. Because you can be the best wrestler in the world, and there's loads of wrestlers, and I won't name any to disrespect them, because they're all way better than me at this moment. But there's loads of guys out there that are unbelievably good in the ring, who was born is my flip flop, you know, as a person, you know, didn't go over, and vice versa. You get guys, Enzo Amore, really charismatic, amazing on the mic. In the ring, again, he's better than me now, so I'm not going to criticise too much, but I've heard and watched interviews and heard stories that he weren't that great in the ring, weren't that safe, weren't that good. So there was a ceiling on him, although he was great on the other aspects. So I think to be a good wrestler, you can be good at different things. Like I'm 31, I'm starting late. But Dallas started at 35 and he was a 3-time world champ. And he learned the stuff in the ring. I think they always say that the in-ring stuff is the easiest thing to learn. Like, it's the other stuff. It's the character. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the connecting with the fans through that TV screen or in the audience. That's the hard thing. Like, anybody that got that drive and determination and a decent level of physical ability can learn to wrestle. Some obviously better than others. Bret Hart compared to, I don't know, a bad wrestler or not so good wrestler. Anybody can learn to wrestle, but not everyone can learn to get that connection with the fans. People like The Rock, Stone Cold, the great Hulk Hogan. Like, apparently Hulk Hogan wasn't that good of a wrestler in terms of the Ultimate Warrior. He's the main one. Ultimate Warrior, he could do 3 moves, but somehow he made everyone loved him in the 90s. Like, he was over. So you can point I'm making is, I'm probably never going to be a Bret Hart in the ring because he was wrestling since he left the womb, and he could do everything in the ring. I'm starting much later, and I've already got a few knocks and injuries from boxing because of my eye. There's some things I can't do because of my eye. But what I lack in ring, hopefully I'll make up for on the outside. And saying that, I've wrestled with the team for 3.5, 4 weeks. Like, I might do 3 months with them, and they might go, "You're actually really good. You can do all. You can do all." When I was in London School Lucha Libre, they were doing moonsaults from the top rope, and all the smaller guys were doing it, and I was one of the bigger guys down there. And I thought, I could do that. I don't know why I thought I could do it. I could do that. And there's one lad, a mate of mine, he was a gymnast for years. I really he could do some crazy stuff in the ring. It was I'm too scared. I don't want to do it. I'm too scared. And I went, I'll do it. And he went, yeah. And I did it. I did a moonsault. Like never tried it before. Had a crash mat down. But if you land on your head on a crash mat, you're still gonna land on your head. It's still gonna hurt. You know? And I've got up and I've done that. And I did it. And I posted on my Instagram maybe yesterday. I did a moonsault. Literally, I've been training for a week. And we had top rope Tuesday it was. And I've gone there and I've done it. And so I think I've got a natural aptitude for certain things just for being physically good at stuff, And I've watched it for many, many years, so I think it'll be pretty good. But we'll see when I start doing it properly.
Brilliant. Well, it's great to hear you so enthusiastic, and you not found another passion because you're always passionate about wrestling, but you've kind of channeled that, and it's become a second career for you. And like you say, you're still only 31, so that's amazing. So it's good that you've got this big goal that you can work towards once all this madness has stopped, of course.
Yeah, no, cheers, man. I feel like that as well. And the second thing you mentioned where I want to go in my wrestling career. I want to do really well, be successful, whether that's winning titles, selling out arenas, earning money. I want to be successful in the truest sense of the word, and I also want to have fun because I want to learn from the mistakes I made in my boxing career. Not so much in ring, obviously, because it's a different sport, but my boxing career. Towards the end, those 3 years, I chased this dream when I was never going to get back. I can see that now, but when I was in it, I was so stubborn. I wanted to fight again. I couldn't see it, and I had 4 operations. One of my surgeries, my heart stopped, and that's kind of resuscitated me in one of my surgeries, which was a whole new kettle of fish. And I still came back and went again and went again and went again. I didn't enjoy my pro career. I didn't enjoy it because I had a lot of injuries, and I was looking at Joshua or Campbell or this person or that person or Rocky Fielding or Cameron Smith winning these world titles, thinking, I'm better than him. Like, why am I stuck on the physio bed with a shoulder in a sling or my Achilles strapped up? Or why am I driving to different eye doctors to get appointments when these guys are world champion? I couldn't work out because I was better than those guys. I couldn't get my head around it. So for a lot of my career, I was very bitter. I was very upset. And I didn't have much fun. And that's weird. Something I loved so much, I didn't really enjoy it anymore. So this one, I want to enjoy my career. I want to actually wake up each day and have passion for it, and that passion be construed in a way where I'm smiling and happy about it, rather than so passionate about my career, my boxing career, that I was pissed off. If that makes sense. So yeah, but cheers, man. I am really enjoying it, and I'm only a baby, and hopefully I'll be in this industry for a long time to come, and hopefully we'll have more chats in the future. Yeah, no doubt.
Brilliant. All right. Well, hope all this stuff going on doesn't last too much longer, and you can get back to what you love.
Cheers, buddy, mate. Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right, mate. Take care.